Alright, so time to install the power module. Honestly, I don't really see anything power wise that can be easier to install. Honestly, even an APR tune is probably more difficult because you got to go to the dealer where they flash your tune. And people think that flashing a tune is easier than anything else, but I think connecting two connectors in line into the engine and slapping this onto the side of the battery is even easier, if you ask me. I don't have to actually get out of my house. Alright, so the way this installs is pretty simple. This power module attaches in line one with the boost tap. Basically, the other one is going to go into the map sensor. So the first sensor is going to be right underneath this valve cover or engine cover, and the way you remove it is just lifting it up. Comes off pretty easy, just a quick little tug. And the sensor that we're looking to tap into is this guy right here, I believe. So let's get this off. Connect it in line with the next guy. Only one of the connectors actually fits, so you don't really have to worry about putting it into the wrong one. So just connect that in line. That's done. The next one is a little bit annoying because it requires getting to the underneath the AC, and so they said that you can either connect it from the top or you can raise the car a bit to get it from the bottom. But let me see if I could actually see what I'm looking for, and I'll report back. Okay, so doing a little bit more digging, I think what we're looking for is really far down, and the engine space here is really tight. In the instruction manual it says that you could just dig your hand in here, but the space is kind of hard to reach. So it's probably better to just lift up your car and remove the splash pan so that we could access it from the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I have the car jacked up on one side, and we're going to go into the car to remove the splash cover. There are Torx screws holding the splash panel in, and they are size T25. With a relatively new car, these should come out rather easy. Just leave them on the side. I'll try and count how many there are so it'll be easier for you guys. So in the beginning of the video I said that this is a really easy job that's probably easier than tuning. Well, if jacking up your car is gonna be a big hassle for you, then probably a tune is even easier to install than this. But for me, jacking up my car is pretty simple, so nothing to complain about there. The instructions from Neuspeed say there's a T40 Torx screw as well, but I don't see any that are T40 yet. And let me remove it on the other side. Yeah, I don't see any T40 Torx screws, even though I grabbed one just in case. But should be rather simple. Once we remove the splash cover, we should be able to see underneath the AC compressor. And once we do that, then all we have to do is plug in line, and we should be done. After reinstalling the splash cover and valve and the engine cover. I don't know why I keep saying valve cover, but yeah, engine cover. Alright, so that should be all of it. Alright, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you guys can see this. 1 in the middle, and then 4 on the other side. So there's a total of 9. And then this splash cover should easily come out once you press these clips in. Well, they're not really clips, but they help hold the splash cover in a little bit. So it pulls down. Alright, so okay, we're looking for the AC charge compressor, the boost tap, which is this guy right here. Alright, let me make sure you guys can see it. So let's see if I could place you guys with the location of this. So this runs from the radiator, let's see, yeah, to the radiator. So you're looking for this black, there's like a hose piece here, and then this is a plastic piece, and the tap is right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. So let me connect that now. So a quick tip, you should definitely take a look at the connectors to make sure you know how they come off. Makes your life a lot easier when you know how to get the connector off. So this one works like this. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so after you run down the connector, you just got to connect it in line. There's really no way to mess this up again. They are made to fit one another, and if it doesn't fit, then you got the wrong connector. One and two. Very simple. All done there. Alright, time to put the splash guard back on and then the engine cover, and we should be good to go. Okay, splash guard back on. And then just put the valve cover back on. Snaps into place. And the last thing to do is get this down with Velcro. Alright, so they say to stick it here on the ECU on the side of the battery, so that's where I'm going to stick it. But it's also important to note that if you ever go to the dealer, you want to take this off so that they don't suspect you messed with the engine. Just stick it right on the side there, and between the ECU and the battery cover, it's stuck on pretty well. So I mean, it's sandwiched in between, so there's really no place that this is gonna go. And that's it. That's installed. So I'm gonna go out for a drive, see if there's anything that I feel different, and I'll give you my updated impressions after I go for a little bit of a drive. Okay guys, so I've put well over 20 miles onto this, and yeah, I know I'm going the wrong way, cry me a river, but I've put well over 20 miles onto this Neuspeed power module. Just like Neuspeed says, it takes 20 miles for the ECU to recalibrate. And so, first impressions, the first thing that you really notice is that once the ECU recalibrates, it has a much louder turbo sound, and that's awesome. When you're pulling, the turbo kicks in a little bit harder, and so you hear the spool a little bit more, which is instantly telling me that it is indeed doing something. The second thing that you notice is that in higher gears, the turbo is pushing harder, and so there is actually a noticeable increase in power, and it's actually quantifiable. In second gear before, I would consider that the highest gear where it really felt like the car was pulling hard, whereas now I feel like even in third gear it's able to pull pretty hard. So the best way to kind of say it is third gear, in my opinion, now pulls just as hard as it did in second gear. So there is a noticeable increase in power. Now, it's really not night and day like some people said. And I think that's really important to say because you have to keep your expectations in check. Some people expect power, but you gotta realize that all you're doing is increasing the boost. It's not really a true remap of the ECU. If you're only gonna be chasing power, then you're gonna have to make sacrifices. And the sacrifices are gonna come in the manufacturer TD1. Essentially, if you want a full tune, that's gonna really maximize the amount of power that you can get out of this engine, you're gonna be giving up warranty. And that's not something that I wanted to do, so this made sense for me because, here, I'll do a little bit of a pull. That turbo sounds really sweet. But yeah, if you're just looking for a little bit of an increase in power like I was, then this power module is right for you. And it's really nice because when you get a new car and you're sitting in by yourself and you accelerate, you feel crazy, quote unquote, acceleration, but then you throw a couple people in the car and all of a sudden that acceleration loses a little bit of its edge. And so this power module is very good because you're getting a little bit of extra power. So basically for me, it's like you could throw a couple people in a car and they'll feel what it's like to just have one person in the car in terms of acceleration. So you kind of get to share the enjoyment of the acceleration with your friends and family. Do I recommend this mod? I do recommend this mod if you're looking for a modest increase in power. I'm not gonna recommend this mod if all you care about is power. For me, I'm really not chasing numbers. All I really wanna do is not be stock, because I think that it's really important to make a car suited to your own needs. And so for me, having a little bit of an increase in power is good enough. The installation process was fairly painless. I would say that if you're comfortable getting underneath your car, that's really the only experience that you need, because you do have to lift up the car in order to get underneath it, in order to reach the connector that's located near the AC charge compressor. If you've done it before, maybe you could get by going through the top of the engine, but I think that's gonna be pretty difficult. So I'll just do a couple of pulls so that, oh, gotta refuel. That's what happens when you get a little bit extra power, you put your foot down more. But yeah, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, if you've done it before, you're gonna be able to put your hand probably through the top and be able to figure out how to connect the second connector. But for the average Joe, I think you're gonna have to get underneath the car, especially if you have big hands. Let me see if I could get it so that you can actually hear the turbo noise. Let's not scare the car in front of us. So this mod costs around $340, $350. If you're interested in doing the mod, I would definitely recommend doing this before you do the APR tune, because this might feel like enough for you where you're not even wanting the tune afterwards. The APR tune is nice and all, but some cars are already going into limp mode. Even after the revision, there's been one case of a car going into limp mode. So they say that they've tuned over 100 cars, which is actually a lot, more than a fifth of the pre-orders, which is kind of crazy. But some of these cars are going into limp mode. I think there's like 2 or 3 cases reported. So it's definitely something to think about. If you're not looking, if power is not your #1 goal, and power and reliability is your goal, then I would definitely recommend this mod over the APR tune. If you guys have any questions about the Neuspeed power module or about the Golf R, definitely leave your question in the comments below. If you guys have certain videos that you'd like to see, leave that in the comments below as well. Other than that, that's basically all I have to say about the Neuspeed power module. So you guys have yourself a nice day, alright? I will leave you guys with a nice pull. Wait for these cars to get by.